is relatively healthy, then I think that they probably, don't seem like the type of team right now that's going to lose 10 of 12, 12 of 15, something like that, that they'll squeeze out another occasional win like the win that they got yesterday to keep themselves from falling into, a deep funk, which would really hurt. So,
their pitching's already getting tested, right? Because Michael Walker's gone down. I mean, what are your expectations for Daniel Lynch for a month?
Not much.
Same.
I'll say that. I mean, he's never proved he's always looked the part more than pitched the part. So, that's going to hurt. There's no question about that. But maybe there'll be a bounce back stretch for the bullpen because they, were dreadful at first. Then they went through a nice patch. Now maybe they're starting, and then they were bad again. Now maybe they're starting another good run.
They're going to need it. And are we going to see them go from everybody talking about them getting relievers and an outfielder on the trade market to needing to get a starting pitcher? Or do we have enough faith in Lynch, Bolin, or maybe Chris Bubich around the corner? I mean, that to me is the big question. That's why Daniel Lynch needs to nail this down. And it may expedite their need to go get a reliever because I don't think you're planning on much more than 5 innings out of Daniel Lynch. I don't think anybody thinks he's going through the lineup a third time, do we?
No,
I don't. I think if you get 5 out of him, it's time to go to the bullpen, whether has a pitch count issue or not.
Well, I don't understand why we're not talking openers with him. If you want to say, well, we don't really have a guy because we don't really have that strikeout guy. Well, you don't really have that guy but in the back of the pen either, yet you still hand somebody the ball. So if you wanted to try to get Daniel Lynch, I'd rather see Daniel Lynch get by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, take the ball against 6, 7, 8, 9, and then go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 twice and have a shot to get 6, 7, 8, 9 a third time if you were going to try and get some length out of the guy. That to me, this is the time to see an opener.
Yeah, we'll see because, obviously Matt Quatraro comes from the Tampa franchise, and they basically invented the opener. And so far, he seemed pretty reluctant to do it. Now this year, you wouldn't start off with a strategy of doing it because you had viable starters who were pitching well. So I can't say that he's maybe more philosophically opposed to doing it than you would expect. But I think that we'll see. Now we have a chance to see because I think with both Daniel Lynch and then eventually Chris Bubich, and that's the good thing for the Royals too, they have a plan A, Daniel Lynch, and then they have a potential plan B in Chris Bubich. So, but in either one of those cases, that seems ripe for an opener. I agree with you. And we'll see if that's something that I would expect that that's what Matt Quatraro would embrace. We don't know until it happens.
Yeah, and I don't want to – I'm not counting Alec Marsh out, but he's had some rockier starts of late. Both he and when Daniel Lynch takes the ball, first of all, when any of their guys take the ball, none of them are going 9, right? There isn't any of them. Seth Lugo, as good as he's been, you're not thinking he's going 9. So they're all candidates, right?
Right.
But Daniel Lynch, if you are honest with yourself, there's no way you're thinking more than 6 innings at most. So if that's going to be the case, I don't know why it wouldn't be immediately. Like if Carlos Hernandez is Carlos Hernandez and can be 3 to 6 outs of high velocity stuff, then 2 innings with the right-hander, let him set their lineup knowing Lynch is coming for a lefty, and he has that much better chance to mow down through 2 innings, then hand it to Lynch. To me, there's no reason not to be, especially now that we've gotten past that idea that it's this taboo thing and, but a guy needs to get into whatever it is. As long as we're by that, then you're going to need 3 to 4 innings. Why not burn 1 or 2 at the beginning?
I see what you're saying. In fact, I agree with it. But I think one of the things maybe they feel like is they look at their bullpen and say, do we really have anybody that we want to start the game with against their best players? Other teams, when they employ an opener, they probably a lot of times have a hard-throwing guy who, is going to just empty the gun right at the beginning with his best stuff, and his best stuff matches up against the top of somebody's order. Maybe they say, well, you know what, these guys are okay, but we could be behind 3-0 in a heartbeat. So I think that's part of the issue.
And none of the numbers of any of the guys in the pen really, they all have whips. Their whips are not what you'd think a good bullpen. They're all 1.25 or higher.
Who are the lowest
have any strike. The lowest whips are, let's see, Schreiber's 1.27. That's not bad.
But Schreiber, you don't want to rob him.
No, you don't want to rob him, and you don't strike guys out. That's the lowest. Everyone else is
I don't mind the no strikeouts.
Yeah. Serpa is 1.29, but he's a lefty. That doesn't work with Lynch. Anderson's was way up there. Sam Long is 0.63, but has he been up long enough for you to trust he can go out there and face the top of a good order? Will Klein's 1.3. They're all 1.25 or seemingly or higher.
You know who looks pretty good?
Stratton.
Daniel Lynch. Or Jordan, or I'm saying Daniel Lynch. Actually, Daniel Lynch does look pretty good. Jordan Lyles. 0.8 whip looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But he ain't around.
You know who else looks good? Nick Lofton. Got a 1 whip.
Yeah.
So there we got a position player and a guy who's not on the team right now.
Yeah, that works well. No, it is. Like, they don't. Like, Angel Zerpa.
Their 4 best whips are in their rotation. That's not what you
I thought of Zerpa, but he's left-handed. So
I know. So it doesn't work with Lynch. You know, I mean, you're not turning anybody around on that one. It does just speak to their lack of depth, right? Like, why they need some help back there in that bullpen. If they could go get some guys that can help them out. The question is, how much do you believe that this team, like, I think this team, if it's going to be a playoff team, needs help sooner rather than later. But I also think it's possible you'd go get them that help, and then you'd find out we're still not good enough, and we just fired off some future pieces. The only
thing I think is that it seems like I don't know what kind of deal they can get done for the pieces, but I think the pieces they're ready to give up are probably people that are like, well, that's we don't think that guy's that great anyway. I mean, not like they have high-level prospects they're going to be dishing away.
If you were the Astros and you're trying to fix something, who are you calling about? You're selling, right? You're thinking of the future. Who are you calling about if you're the Astros?
Not the Royals.
But the Royals are on the phone. Who do you have anybody you're like, we'd be interested in this guy?
I think it'd have to be somebody who we are very familiar with because he's on the team, like MJ Melendez. You might take a flyer on.
I wouldn't give anything for MJ Melendez. I'd look at that stance and go, nope. You trying to fix it.
I agree. I don't think he's along.
Well, I'll give you the list. I think there should be interest in Chris Bubich because he's got a new pitch and he's mowing people down. He's coming off Tommy John, which most guys come back from pretty well, and he looks really good coming back. So I'd have interest in Chris Bubich. I'd have some interest in Daniel Lynch again since he's thrown well up at the big league level. I would have interest in Gavin Cross because he seems to be getting on base again and it has the pedigree of being a top 10 pick. I'd have interest in Blake Mitchell because the batting average is coming up. He's making some contact. He's a catcher. I'd have interest in Logan Porter. That's the or no, it was Carter Jensen. Oh. Carter Jensen. I'd have interest in Carter Jensen because he's 20 and hitting in high A ball right now, and is a catcher first baseman. I'd have interest in him, and
I think the problem is the Royals are going to have to be the fallback plan for other teams. I think when teams go looking for a deal, they're going to go somewhere else first. They have to hope that the deal doesn't get done with those other teams because those other teams have more to offer. There's no doubt about that. That's the other thing that's going to make it difficult for the Royals because I think that there's other teams. Now, the thing that weighs in their favor is the fact that, there's not that many teams that will be looking to sell because there's the whole major leagues is right around 500. Mm-hmm. So those teams still fancy themselves in it. So that's I guess, a positive.
All right, Danny Clinkscale's with us. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. A lot of hail, a lot of wind, a lot of damage to a lot of trees, but that means also roofs taking a pounding. If you're not sure if your roof is okay, call Easton Roofing, 913-257-5426, 913-257-5426. You can find them online at eastonroofing.com. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. That's at Easton Roofing. Locally owned and operated, Kansas City's best, Easton Roofing, online at eastonroofing.com.
Did you experience hail damage last year and never got the work done? Most insurance companies only give you a year to get the roof fixed, and if you don't get it done, you could possibly not be compensated in full for the replacement of your roof. If you've been procrastinating getting that damaged roof taken care of, give us a call at 913-257-5426, and we'll send out an expert to help you through the process. We're never pushy, we're just here to help. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Welcome back here to the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Petro, Seabolt, Kurtis, where are you at? Tell everybody where you're at. All the great Father's Day specials that are going on. Always a great opportunity there at Bushnell.
I'm at the Bushnell pre-Father's Day sale. It's today until 6, tomorrow 9 until 5. We're at 8460 Neiman. If you've been to Bushnell before, it's the exact same place, only about 10 feet away. They moved right next door. If you haven't, I mentioned 8460 Neiman. Essentially, just take Marshall Drive north from 87th Street, a couple of blocks, and it's on the left. Some of the big great sales are having Bushnell Wingman Golf GPS speakers, about $80. That's crazy. They have great deals on certified refurbished golf laser rangefinders, $10 red dots, $25 binoculars, all kinds of fantastic deals. And for the first 81 customers today, Bushnell 10x25 PowerView compact binoculars are free. They also have a closest to the pin competition on the Bushnell Golf Simulator. Great stuff for Father's Day if your dad's a golfer or if he just likes gadgets. It's the Bushnell pre-Father's Day sale today until 6, tomorrow 9 to 5, 8460 Neiman Road in Lenexa.
All right, we're talking to Danny Klinkscale. He is out of town, but still with us, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of mostly. Most of him is with us. Easton Roofing helping you out if your business needs some help. Easton Roofing offers thermal zone inspections. That means you can tell right on the spot whether there's water under your roof. You don't have to wait weeks to get the answers you need right now. Easton Roofing is Kansas City's best with your residential and your commercial roofs. So don't wait. Call right now. Call 913-257-5426. Find Joe Spiker and his great team online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, are the Celtics just going to steamroll the Mavericks after what you saw last night? I've been a big believer that they could beat everybody but the Nuggets without Porzingis, and I kind of felt like the way the Mavs are playing, maybe the Mavs had moved up to that level, but if they have Porzingis, nobody was stopping him. I don't care who they were. He looked pretty damn good last night.
The Celtics have plenty of answers. They have a lot of good players. They don't have to rely on, Jason Tatum wasn't particularly good in last night's game, but they don't really need him, which is weird. Porzingis came back and he was fantastic.
Well, Jaylen Brown might be the best player on the team now. It might be time to quit talking about Tatum and where he is and start talking about how Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics.
But I think one thing is I think that Jaylen Brown, if featured, I think would have the opportunity perhaps to be a better player than Jason Tatum. But, they've decided that he is the lead dog. So I agree. They're both, Jaylen Brown is capable of having a fabulous game anytime. The Celtics are usually good for one stinker per series. And
it usually comes game 2 at home.
Right. And they usually just sort of give the game away. So it's not really an indication of whether they're better than the other squad or not. They just lay an egg, the other team wins, and then the Celtics come back. So I'd be kind of surprised if this series went past 5 games. But we've all been surprised before. But I think the Celtics, as I say, they just tend to get one bad thing out of their system and then move on and play great, and then they're going to win.
Well, one of the things that I saw, like, Luka early was asking out of the game. He was not moving well. Like, I think we're finally seeing the lack of conditioning. This many extra games is catching up to the guy.
Right, and if you're dinged up a little bit like he is with the knee, and you're not it's tougher to recover between games when you're playing every other day or every third day if you're not a greatly conditioned athlete. And also, if his knee is hurt, he probably isn't doing much conditioning, period, on top of the fact that he doesn't go in with a base of being a well-conditioned athlete. So he's probably put on a little weight. So I would say, this might be a time that, as good as he is, and falling just short, which I think they're going to lose in the finals. That would be my guess.
that might be the motivation for him.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be like George Brett, kind of, who was obviously a great player, but didn't really start conditioning himself until he was about 30.